He might be the sexiest alien I've ever seen. He might be the sexiest alien I've ever seen. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Next Gen Geek Channel. I'm your host, Darius, and right here we have Brendan from Brendan vs. Reviews on Twitter. So, how are you doing, my man?
I am doing fantastic. Let me tell you, Falcon Winter Soldier was really good, but we need to talk Snyder Cut. Let's just
Yes,
get right to it.
yes, you are right, and that's the video. That's the video we'll be doing. We'll be reviewing Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I personally have been excited for this. I will always be on the filmmaker side because artistic vision and the integrity of it is important, and we should review it as intended. So, without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Brendan, your first thoughts when you saw this movie?
My first thoughts when the credits started rolling, I said to myself, is this real? Like, this is happening. And then I started watching with my brother, and we stayed up till 3 a.m. And it started to roll, and then different scenes started to happen. And literally, I was like, that's new. That's new. Why
Yeah.
did that get cut? Why did that get cut? That's new. Okay, I'm going to shut up because this is a different movie. And then my brother looked at me and goes, what the hell was Warner Brothers thinking? And I was like, I have no idea, man. But after watching it, I just want to say, give Ray Fisher the world. You know, just like I love Cavill. I do. He's an amazing Superman. But the beauty of Zack Snyder was in this film is that you give Ray Fisher a excellent script to work with, amazing cinematography, a powerful score from Junkie XL, but the narrative of how it's a duality of being human and being machine.
Mm-hmm.
But when you combine that, it's the same story of Kal-El with Jor-El, with Silas with the recorder talking to Cyborg. Come on, man! Like I was like, what? This is genius.
Yeah, like and it's funny that you bring that up because one of the things I really enjoyed about this film really is that it parallels so well with Man of Steel in the previous films before that it kept its own tone and theme throughout. And I know a lot of people don't like Snyder for his overall theme and how he treats the characters dark and gritty. Where personally, for me, I like that to a certain extent because it just shows that like we are all broken and messed up as well. And what I really enjoy about Snyder and really his cut of this film was that compared to the Justice League one, the theatrical cut, that one was very plot driven, which means that it just went through very quickly, which to a certain degree it can work. But because Snyder already set up a world where it's character focused, that it just completely deviated from the entire theme of what Snyder was going for, and really the DCEU as a whole. So with this one, what I appreciated, even though it's 4 hours long, which I would argue, if you guys are worried about that, there are actual chapter breaks that shows each chapter, so you can take a break or whatever, and get your snack, or just stop and go back to it the next day. But the thing about this one, this is more character driven, and you see Ray Fisher. To me, he was the center of this movie, and I know Snyder talked about that a lot. That Ray Cyborg is the heart of this film, and I saw that and I felt that. And so like just speaking on Ray Fisher as a whole, like how did you like his character arc overall, Brendan?
I honestly, I had really like mixed feelings when I saw the 2017 film, and I was like, what's going on? The dialogue was off and stuff. The script was weird. The color grading was weird, and
Mm-hmm.
just things felt off place. But when you see Ray Fisher in this, it really invokes empathy, and I love his quote and stuff that Cyborg's arc was the struggle of what humanity endures, and to see him lose everything but to gain it back in the quote, I'm not alone and I'm not broken when he's separating the mother
Yeah.
boxes was the chef's kiss. Because you see, I didn't like how the 2017 one sugarcoated that Silas was alive because that
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the case. And people are like, well, he shouldn't have locked himself in there with the mother box and stuff and heated it up. And they're like, and I said to a friend when I was discussing that scene, I was like, yeah, but that's not what that symbolized. That symbolized that that's the sacrifice of the father. He brought Victor back
Yeah,
into this world. He saved him by his own hubris, but he needed to prove to Victor, this is your life now, and I can't be a part of this.
absolutely, and that's enough. Like what I love about Cyborg's origin is that it is very much a fatherhood central theme. Whereas when you look at BVS, that was a motherhood central theme when they discuss about the meaning of Martha. So with this movie, so I think Cyborg overall, Ray Fisher, he gave it his best, man. He knocked it out of the park in my opinion because it's like I felt for this dude as much as he was just a robotic organism. You can see just the small things in his one eye and even his facial expression and how his body and the limbs of the actual mechanic organism move that he's hurt, he's broken, he's not himself. And one of the things and that I really another thing I really liked about Ray Fisher Cyborg was just his overall presence in the film, his overall like, yo, I felt alone before, but now I'm not. And he accepts his father's flaws now, and I think that's another thing that is. And we see early on that he was in a car accident. His mother was with him. Got to give it to the mother; she was great. Absolutely loved her. And the thing is, I've seen some people say that Cyborg was just a football player. No, yeah, he is, but he also is a hacker. If you really paid attention, he's a hacker. And so I was already like, wow, so he's like into computer science already? That's awesome. And when I saw him hack in when they told us that he hacked into the school system to help her friends grades out because of parents, I'm like, yo, that's just a caring guy who cares about other people than himself. And then what really solidified his character was when Silas Stone was telling him how much power you have, but it's up to you to decide who you want to be. And you see the nuclear codes, everything. And he's like, nah, I see this lady, she's struggling. I'm gonna give you a little extra. I'm like, dude, this nails it for who Cyborg is, and I very much appreciated that. So overall, Ray Fisher, I have to give it to you. You did a fantastic job. So speaking of some of the characters that really didn't get their moments to shine some of the time, what were your thoughts on Flash in Snyder's version?
It's a tough thing and stuff because um, Ezra was really he was very strapped with like what he had to work with in 2017,
Mhm,
and seeing him in Snyder's vision and stuff, like you definitely got that mood of fatherhood and stuff with how you know they're doing the Flashpoint storyline and stuff where his dad's in prison for murdering his mom, that whole arc and stuff. But at the same time, though, when he's running through the Speed Force and he says, Dad, I was one of the best of the best, and his dad says to him, Barry, you can be anything you want to be, you kind of have like this weight draped over Barry when he was in the whole scene with Iris and stuff in the beginning when it's shown. He's very shy. He's trying to work jobs and stuff. He's really bottling his life away. He's not ready to accept anything. But
mhm,
more throughout the movie, though, he really starts to gain confidence. Yeah, he's still like cracking little jokes and stuff, and he's the Flash. But,
absolutely.
the running's weird still. No offense. I don't like how he runs.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree with that.
just just do straight arms. I don't like the whole yeah. But getting back to it though, people are like, oh well, he's just Peter Parker of Justice League. That's not the case though. That's not the case. People are like, oh well, Batman's his mentor. No, Batman wasn't his mentor in this either. The Flash really did everything on his own. This movie was the arc of the Flash gaining confidence, and it's also like going from adolescence to adulthood, and that's another
Yeah.
theme that Snyder picked up on also.
Yeah, definitely. Like you really nailed it over the head with Flash because to me, when I saw this movie, I was like, okay, so the comedy is what Snyder was going for. Because at first I was like, okay, this might be a Joss Whedon thing, but no. And I thought Snyder pulled it off to a certain extent with the comedy. But overall, for me with Barry Allen, I still don't like some of the comedy. I still don't like how he. Here's the thing. I in the beginning, even throughout the film, I was like, I'm not a fan of how he runs. But the more I understood why, I was like, you know what? I don't mind it too much because he's inexperienced. I kind of almost forgot about that because I was like, he's inexperienced. And another thing I really liked, and and Snyder played with this really well, is the flow of time
Mm.
and how really when you're almost in that flow of time, it is almost an organic wish. Or so the more I thought about it, I was like, I kind of do like his speed. I still like the blue electricity. But like overall, like just Flash as a whole, definitely had more character depth to him. Definitely had a better arc, especially accepting that he needs to move forward and get his job. And Barry Allen, Flash, I thought Ezra Miller, I thought, with what he was given for what the direction was going for, he did a solid job. However, and and we have to talk about that scene with Flash at the end. Holy cow, he reversed time.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna not only you put Darkseid in, but now you're reversing time. Woo! What were your thoughts when you saw that on your TV?
When I saw Darkseid boom tubing in and I saw Superman standing there in the black suit, and it's just classic Darkseid. Like he has his hands behind his back, he doesn't really care. Like he knows he's a badass, and you can just like see on his face and stuff. I was like, is he really gonna step through, or like are you teasing us right now? And then you see Barry with like the Speed Force, and I was like, okay, they're doing Speed Force, and just the visuals were great. And that's the thing I love about Snyder is, yeah, his movies are just green screen, but that's okay though because you really invoke it with a good script, and his cinematography is amazing. That scene with Iris
Yeah,
West, and I was talking to people about that, is how that Barry's still scared and that he's moving so fast. And you saw it with his shoes like falling apart and stuff, is that he cannot grab a person and run them at super speed because he'll melt them to a crisp. They'll burn to
yeah,
atoms. And that's one of the
yeah.
things. Sorry about that.
No, yeah, you made a good point because it's like he has a certain responsibility of like he knows a certain extent to his powers and how damaging it can be, and he even says that to Batman. Or I think if I remember correctly, he does say that. Um, and I saw one complaint online that I do want to tackle this, and it's like they were saying, oh, Barry Allen wasn't struggling or he wasn't having. I guess there wasn't a consequence to him, right? Here's why I would disagree. My main argument is that when you see him running around at the end and he's trying to hold on, he can't hold on. Like it looks like he's about to freaking break apart. Like he can't maintain the speed and he can't go that fast to a certain degree. So it's like you see him struggling. And then not only that, he gets hit in the stomach, right, by a green energy blast, and he's not healing that well. Like it actually affected his healing factor. But you know what? He had that mentality of like, I can't be the best of the best. I'm pushing forward to get to to finish the job, to do what needs to get done, and that's why I really appreciate what's his arc and his overall character, and that like he pushed through even as a speedster, he pushed through, and I really enjoyed that. And speaking of other characters, I do want to turn our attention to, uh, really, I think Superman. Let's face it, Superman is definitely still one of the biggest characters in the DCEU and Snyderverse. It's his baby. He started it with Man of Steel. How did you feel about how Superman was treated? The return of Superman in the black suit. What was going through your head?
My 8-year-old self was coming forth in my 23-year-old body. And I felt like a kid, and I love the theme and parallels of father and son bond and stuff, and how you have that perfect duality voiceover of Jor-El, but then juxtaposed to Jonathan Kent, and just how it symbolizes you're still a son of Krypton, but now you're Earthborn also. And it's just the perfect harmony of it. And then the black suit and stuff. And I remember sitting there and people were like, why is you wearing the black suit? And I was like, because he hasn't earned the red suit back yet. That's the thing. The black
Mm-hmm.
suit represents rebirth, it represents him being more connected to his Kryptonian roots. But when he's standing there in the cornfield and he's got Lois, and he goes, I'll take it as a yes. And she goes, what? And he goes, the ring. And I was like, this is Clark. This is Clark. This is Snyder gets Superman, and people are like, Snyder don't get Superman. I was like, have you not seen Man of Steel? Have you not seen BVS? And then you watch Justice League, and it's like Lord of the Rings, where you watch, Fellowship of the Ring, and then Two Towers, and then the Return of the King, and you just watch them all together. It's like a perfect book, just flowing, and it just Snyder gets Superman. The black suit
Yeah,
was executed well, like him flying up and you hearing Jor-El. And
yeah,
First Flight 2.0, it's just great. And then him fighting Steppenwolf, he beat Steppenwolf's ass. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
He annihilated him. Like I was like, oh shoot, he's not pulling any punches.
I loved how they got rid of "Tell me, do you bleed? Do you well?" That was weird. The CGI looked good.
Yeah,
Cavill didn't look like he was pissed off all the time. He didn't look too fake or computer or animated. He looked like Superman. Havel has this charisma when he's in the character. And Snyder's cinematography with the Superman theme, just when you bake it all together, it's just.
it really is. Yeah, like Snyder, in my opinion, I like Man of Steel was honestly the Superman movie I've always wanted. Him becoming his own, him being insecure, because you can't start off being a hopeful person. I don't really see that, and that you have to have a certain growth to it. So with me, to me in Justice League, I was like, yes, he is finally coming to terms with both his Kryptonian heritage, his humanity of him, and even Batman to a certain degree. His humanity was back because of Superman, because of what he represented. And so, like Superman as a whole, Henry Cavill absolutely does a great job. To me, he is Superman, physically, just everything. Like
It's all
he
there.
is Superman. And so, one of the things with Superman that another I really enjoyed, again, Snyder, I thought, in my opinion, did a really great job of bringing the parallels between Justice League, BVS, and Man of Steel, and you just feel that he is back and that he earned to be back. And one of the things I absolutely love, especially as a Man of Steel fan, is Flight 2.0. That score still hits to this day, and it was masterful. Even though Hans Zimmer wasn't part of this Junkie XL, still did a great job. He really did with the flight score from Man of Steel. And just overall, like Superman as a character in this film, I thought was even much more fleshed out. Mainly because you took some of the jokes away, you took some of that corniness, and yes, some people may say, "Oh, Superman's corny." It's like, but that's not the point of this version. This version is almost a mixture of being insecure as well as lacking the self confidence needed for him to be confident, for him to be fully to embrace himself. And so, just overall, not only that, but I also want to turn our attention to another character that I have mixed feelings with. What did you feel about Lois Lane overall in this film, and really what how she served a purpose?
Oh, oh, Lois. I got to be careful on this because my boss, that's his go-to. He loves her.
Uh oh.
Yeah. Honestly, I thought Lois was good in this, and I did. And I also felt the movie was about. It's really thematically about what it means to be human and like your influences on people and stuff. And I love the scene where she's talking to Martha Kent, and they're just like talking about like what Clark meant to each other and stuff. And she goes, "I'll never love your son as anybody else." And it goes to show like that deep connection that was there between them. And Lois is the key, and people are like, "Oh, well, she's just the key, it's like Superman's heart." And I was like, "No, no, she's the key to Superman's humanity.
Humanity. Yep.
That was always been there from the influence of the Kents." But when he met her, that's when everything started to line up and connect.
Yep. For sure. And to me, Lois, and the more I think about it, and he's still now, I thought her arc was pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. But then I remember the line, or at least that interaction she had with Martha Kent, who really turned out to be Martian Manhunter, John
Yeah,
Jones, which
yeah.
we'll get to that in a second. But the idea that he was perpetuating throughout the really to Lois and hopefully trying to get her back up her feet is that Superman, yes, he is as influential as he is, but you are just as influential as him because of your journalistic integrity and how you view journalism and how you view bringing certain darkness to light for everyone else to see and commit to either this is wrong, we need to act on it. Look at what she did with Lex Luthor. That whole thing, really, yes, it was a dope battle with Doomsday and everything like that, but she brought him to the forefront. If she didn't do that, he would have gotten away with probably much worse,
Mhm.
including the Capitol, the death of all the people at the Capitol. So really, she is just as important as Superman, and they both really play well with each other on how how both of them symbolize different things in humanity. One symbolizes the hope, faithness, and the goodness. The other is the analytical, and we need to get stuff done. And I really appreciate that. And now that we got that Lois out the way, Martian freaking Manhunter, Brendan, my guy, please tell me you cried like I did.
um, when I saw Martian Manhunter talking about how he has a stake in the world and stuff, and how, he was disguised as Martha Kent and stuff, talking to her, and talking about like the human influence and stuff, and saying, that we have to move on, you need to get back. All I could think about was, this is a John Jones saying this because he's lost his family, he's lost his connection to Mars, and he's saw his daughters probably die in front of him, which I know Snyder, if he had the chance, he would expand on that. So to
Mhm.
say that, Lois, which Snyder did confirm, she was pregnant in the film, by the way, so that adds another sense of depth to it also. But to say that, you just sit there and you're like, Martian Manhunter, you just feel for the guy, not only because he looked great, the character was well acted by Harry Lennox, which I
Yep.
knew for a fact in Man of Steel. I was like, why is he the only one standing up when everybody else is cowering back behind the mirror? When Clark pulls the cuffs and he's just standing there like, bring it on. And I was like, something about this guy. But getting back to it, as someone who loved the animated series and how Phil LaMarr brought that character to life,
Yep.
I was like, this is the animated series just in realism, in live action.
Yes, you're. I do want to touch upon the animated series because there is something I noticed that I did cry again while I was watching this. As I'm watching this movie, I thought the score overall pretty good. Junkie XL, he did the best he could. There are certain song choices, if not score, I wasn't too fan of, like Wonder
Wonder
Woman. I
Woman's.
didn't like the voice. I was like,
Oh!
yeah, that was a bit much for me. I was like, keep it simple, man. Like it's like you guys nailed it before. Why are you adding the voice? But I digress. One of the things I noticed is that I think in the last act, that team song, I heard a bit of the Justice League animated theme song. I don't know if you picked that up.
I didn't,
I
but
heard
now now I want to go listen to it.
If you really listen to it, I heard a bit of that. I was like, wait, that sounds like the Justice League animated theme song. So that warmed my heart to my core. And I knew Snyder said he was a fan of the animated series. So I wasn't sure if he was going to. Because to me, that theme song is the Justice League theme song. And the fact that they incorporated that in like the last act, and you can find it on YouTube as well, the actual score, you can hear the notes are either the same or very similar. And I was like, oh, this is the Justice League movie. Yes, yes. And so to me, like that score alone, to me, brought home that this is the Justice League, and we're just getting started. And for me, I love Martian Manhunter. John Jones was awesome. He looked amazing. Oh my, he looked. I love how his suit looked more organic and not really a suit. You're crying
I'm
too.
literally just sitting here. I'm like, I'm just gonna let the man talk because I don't want to start crying right now because I'm sorry. I'm just sitting here letting you talk because I was like, I could just listen to Martian Manhunter all day long because that scene where he's talking to Batman at the end, it's just always because when you hear it's a distance roaring in the back, I was like, oh shit, what's Soup's doing here? What is like you hear the shh.
Yeah.
I was like,
I will say though, with that last part when he showed up at Batman, I wasn't a fan that he said I'm Martian Manhunter. I would have preferred he just said John Jones. Because us as comic book nerds, we know he's Martian Manhunter and John Jones, but John Jones I think would just humanize him a bit more. Because I mean, like, if you go up to a random dude who's like, I'm Manhunter, the heck?
uh,
We gonna have a problem.
but
But I think what also would have been cooler is if Batman said, "Yeah, I know."
that would have been cool. I gotta admit, that would have been cool. But I kind of feel like the thing Snyder did it was too by having him say, I'm Martian Manhunter, is because when you look at the rest of the team, they're very like Avengers in the way. They don't call each other Batman. They don't call each other Flash. They don't call each other's. The only one they really called
Yeah,
Superman was Cyborg that said Superman. He called Barry Barry. He called, Batman called Wonder Woman. He called her Diana.
yeah,
Arthur. He called her Arthur. You know, um. So there was that. I mean, Batman really only called him Clark. Wonder Woman kept calling him Kal-El, which I was like,
yeah,
okay, this kind of makes sense. But I kind of feel like I'm John Jones. Would have been like perfect. I'm John Jones, the Martian Manhunter. Instead of
yeah,
I am Martian Manhunter. Some people call me the Martian Man. Really express it, give it some humanity to it. You know what I mean? But at the same
yeah.
time, I'm like, that was definitely sequel bait, and they were trying to push that for next. Like, you goddamn know well if there was a Justice League 2, like a Snyder Cut Part 2, he'd be like, what's your name? Oh, I'm John Jones. I'm from the planet Mars. Like,
Yeah.
that would have happened.
For sure, and I do want to touch upon another thing that with Batman, and I'm surprised this wasn't in the. Actually, I'm not surprised because they took out everything Snyder did, but I digress. Was when Batman and Wonder Woman were in their cave and they were discussing plans, and he was like, he didn't know who Flash was before him, but he was like, Barry was right here. So to him, he was almost like solidifying that, like, wait, no, it wasn't a dream. It's a reality that is coming. And you see how that is doubled down, if not questioned again, when they're reviving Superman. And I have to say, when they revived Superman, I was like, oh, it's gonna play out similarly. But it didn't to a certain degree, mainly because Cyborg saw what was gonna happen. That added more stakes, more tension to what they were actually doing. And I have to say, Darkseid, he might be the sexiest alien I've ever seen. He might be the sexiest alien I've ever seen because he looked amazing underwater with his Omega beams. You see the planet crushing. You see him towering over Superman like, yo, anti-life, you coming with me, man? I was like, whoa, holy cow. I did not expect this much Darkseid in this film.
You know, we got to break down that scene because as a writer, I broke that scene down so much with the themes and everything they had in the scenes. Okay. So when you see Diana on the pyre, like when she's getting burned alive and stuff, the Greek tradition, and she has
Mm-hmm.
the two Drakas, like, for Charon the ferryman, I was like, okay, she's dead. But then when you see her decapitate Steppenwolf at the end, I'm like, okay, that makes sense now. Darkseid's gonna fuck her up because you killed his uncle. But he still thought him as a piece of trash because he stepped on his head because
Yeah.
it's Darkseid. Okay, number two, when he's in Atlantis and he's doing his Omega Beam and he literally stabs Arthur to the heart with the trident, I'm like, okay, this is Darkseid. He's not messing around. Okay, let's do this. Let's keep it going. Superman in the black suit standing over the bones and the skeleton of Lois Lane. And then you have Robin's costume perfectly placed in the
I didn't
shot by
see that.
Snyder. Yeah,
I did
it's
not
over
see
to
that.
the side. It's over to the side. It's perfectly placed by Snyder.
I need to see it
And
again.
it just goes to show how he gets these characters and he gets filmmaking because it adds to the layer that Lois Lane was the connection to Earth for Superman, and that is his greatest failure now. But it's also Batman's greatest failure because he let Lois die, and you have his other greatest failure standing with the Robin suit
Yep.
as a memorial. And then you see Darkseid come in and put his hand over Superman, and it symbolizes to you as the audience, this is Batman, two of Batman's greatest failures backfiring on him.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's just I there's not enough to say. Like you put it perfectly. You took every single word out my mouth. I'm like, God dang it, man! I want to talk.
I
No,
love what
but
I do,
honestly,
man.
like
I
you
love what I do.
you nailed it because it's like this. Clark Kent, Kal-El, Superman. He has always been conflicted with his nature, and there's only one thing, two things is really Martha and Lois. And not only that, but remember, Lois is pregnant. So
Hmm.
it's like, yo, if he found out he had a kid, she's dead, she's dead. It's injustice all over again.
Exactly.
And I love it.
Oh
Um,
God.
but yeah, like overall, like just holy cow, like Superman, Man of Steel, that and his father's talking to him as he's getting his suit was absolutely great. Um, and let's go on to the next guy. We talked enough about Darkseid, but now let's talk about Steppenwolf. What did you think of him? I have a lot
I
to say.
I felt bad for Steppenwolf, okay? I felt bad for Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf is the kid that comes home with the A's, and the daughter comes home and is like, I got a boyfriend. And everybody's like, we need to talk about that. We don't care about your straight A's over here, Billy. We need to talk about Susie's boyfriend who's coming over. And then you have Desan standing there like, yeah, even though he's your uncle, you still owe the Dark Lord 50,000 more worlds. And he's literally just pleading, crying. He's like, let me talk the dark side. And I'm just like, damn,
Let me talk
dude,
to Daddy.
can we talk to daddy? Yes!
Yeah, like Steppenwolf. Holy cow! Honestly, this is compared to the first Justice League, the other version. This is a more menacing one. This is the one that really doesn't care. This is the one that decapitated Amazonians and cut other people in half. I like that. You see Arrow sticking him. He's like, let's go. I'm like, yo, he is menacing. He is frightening. But what I really liked about his design, and I think Snyder did this on purpose, and really the creators, his eyes look human.
Mm-hmm.
And that's to show some of his humanity and
Mm-hmm.
his weakness. And you can connect with the human eye because eyes are windows to the soul.
Yep.
And I thought that was just an excellent way to portray him as someone who was pleading to be like, please take me seriously. I am trying. I know I messed up. I want to go back. Darkseid's like, fuck out of here. But overall,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
And even Desan is like, bruh, like you messed up way too many times. We can barely trust you. And what I really liked, like again, Steppenwolf had a bit more weight to him as a character. And I've seen this complaint amongst other YouTubers is that there's not enough of like emotional attachment. And I'm like, you don't need enough. You need just the right amount to reel you in. If you're not
Exactly.
reeled in, then that's on you. It's on both parties. But overall, it's just like you can only do so much, even in a 4-hour movie. And honestly, even though this is a 4-hour movie, cut a good chunk of stuff together, tighten things up, 3.5 hours, even better, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Because I know the runtime is going to be a lot of people's biggest complaint. And let's face it, this 4-hour movie would not be in theaters. Like
Mm-hmm.
that won't be possible because when you put things in theaters, you want the people to go back. You
Yep.
want people to keep going back, and 4 hours is not going to do that for a lot. Probably for the hardcore fans like you and me, and maybe Slickmoth, but not a lot. um, but like, sorry, Slickmoth, yeah, I called you out, but I'm just saying, maybe you said you loved it. So did you love it enough to go back to the theater multiple times? Let's see.
I will say one thing. 2017, that does not exist. Okay,
Oh,
that doesn't
I already
exist.
forgot
I
about it.
I have no idea what there was no movie that came out in 2017. Doesn't exist.
Absolutely. Like this movie was definitely character driven. You can tell Snyder. And the thing is, you have to look at it like this. WB wanted to catch up to Marvel. They wanted their Avengers, right? They didn't want to jump into individual movies yet. They're like, we can do that afterwards. So Snyder's like, okay, how can I still give each character the right origin and justice and to introduce them? And you can't do that into like I see why they cut it, but I also see why it's a 4 hour movie. Because there's a lot you need to put in there. And I thought Snyder did the best he could, if not a great job with what he had and what he was going for. And just like to me, this movie I thought was really better than I expected. I absolutely loved it. It was really great. The visual effects amazing. Just the cinematography alone, Snyder knows what he's doing with the camera, with his DP, with everyone on set. He knows how to elicit emotion from certain actors. And I also want to touch upon one thing, and I want to go into diversity. To me, comparing this to Avengers 1 specifically, this is the most diverse superhero team. And I say that mainly because you have an African American man, Cyborg,
Yep.
right? You have an Israeli Wonder Woman,
Yep.
and you have another Martian Manhunter who's black.
You have a Polynesian Aquaman.
In a Polynesian in a Samoan Aquaman. Like
You
that
have a
is
you have a Jewish Flash.
like you. It is a very and I feel that Snyder did that on purpose to show that anyone can be one of these heroes. Like you're not
Exactly.
entitled to just one race or whatever. Yes, Aquaman has been seen as a Caucasian dude, but you know what? Jason Momoa killed it.
Yeah.
He's awesome as Aquaman.
Yeah.
He's a dope dude. I
Yeah.
want to
No.
blow hug with that man.
I absolutely agree, and that's one of the things I love about this is that I was getting into the Spider-Verse vibes, where anybody could wear the mask, any actor, any race, any ethnicity can play these characters, as long as you have a well-written script. Anybody can play these characters.
Absolutely, and I like Snyder really had in my opinion, he had a keen eye for what he wanted. You know, he is a filmmaker. He is a storyteller, and it's unfortunate WB made an atrocity of what he had. Like just as a Justice League animated fan, someone who grew up on the animated cartoons, right? That's how I got my start into comics in the first place. Then I read comics. Seeing that to me, this really felt like the animated series come to life.
Yeah.
I was like, this is like this. I wish I was on this
Ex-
set.
expe- Especially the scene where they're standing on top of the dam and stuff, and Flash is like looking around in Cyborg, and like you had that like sepia tannish pinkish
Yeah,
color and stuff going on, that vibe, and it was literally the animated series come to life where there's and he throws the batarang and like they're standing there and like they have all this other superheroes flying over. I was like, come on, this is animated series vibe. Anybody getting this? Like the thing also too about it is that, if literally you put in Wally West, you could have like took out the distinctions of, okay, so the TV show is doing Barry Allen, we're gonna do Wally West. But that's the thing though too, not a lot of people really know the character of Wally West too well to like put him on
mhm.
the screen. And Ezra Miller plays a pretty good Barry Allen. Like,
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how he's gonna do on his own in the Flash movie. But also the thing too, and I think I might do this for my next editorial, just need to get approval, is how the DCEU doesn't have to do big team up films and they don't have to go the Marvel route. When you let a director take their vision and what they want to do with these characters, like Matt Reeves' Batman, like this is completely grounded, this is realistic, this is animated series brought to life. And then with Snyder's and stuff, he's really bringing out the humanity and the struggles of what normal people endure. This is what these characters really embody to people.
While
Like
still
when you
portraying their godlike abilities, really.
Exactly. Exactly. Like when you look at somebody like me, I'm a journalist, but people don't see it. They look at me like I'm a 6'5" jock. But I've always resonated with the character of Superman so well. I always felt I was
Yeah,
out of place with certain things. Everybody says they strive to be Batman, but it's impossible. You can't be a billionaire. But everybody also, like, how can you be Superman when he's a godlike being? You can be Superman because of the heart that he attains from the Kents.
exactly. People over like I've noticed a lot of people overlook some of the characteristics of these characters, and they just automatically go to like, oh, he's invulnerable, he has skin, and it's like, but if you look at the comics as well, Superman's very emotional.
Yes.
He's a very emotional character, and he doesn't have full control over his emotions. Look at Injustice. Look at the numerous other times he was controlled by other people. Like it's fascinating to me because Superman is probably the most human, vulnerable character. And even Batman in comics has said that he's more human than he is, and you can even see and feel that to a certain extent in BVS. Batman was just a freaking brutal. He was a brute. Where Superman was like, "Yo, I'm trying here, but like right now you're kind of acting crazy." And I want to touch upon another thing. We've pretty much covered a lot of the movie. We covered the characters, their arcs, what we liked, what we disliked. The final sequence, the epilogue, the nightmare sequence.
Oh,
What were your thoughts? As that was really the thing that he filmed at the end, like the latest thing he actually filmed for the movie.
the nightmare sequence. You know, I had to deal with a lot of people on my Twitter saying that was shoot in, there was no need for that, that was sequel bait. And I was like, you don't understand what the nightmare sequence really meant to Snyder. The nightmare sequence was was a frame of what Snyder was building towards, but it also showed what if these characters went in the direction of what he's trying to embody. What if Superman lives in a world without hope? What if Batman is pushed to the brink that he has to ally himself with the man who took away his only breath of life? What if you don't have a world where Aquaman is no longer there and ruling as king of Atlantis? What if Wonder Woman, who is a woman, who is an Amazon, who was war driven in the first film, and then she goes to find herself in the second, and she's still longing for love? What if she's no longer there to show compassion for the Justice League and for the denizens of the world? The nightmare scene is, don't get me
He's
wrong,
ripping
it's
all of that out.
exactly.
Yeah, and I again, you couldn't have said it even more beautiful than that because it's like each of these characters represent a ideal and philosophical debate, and just who they are. Superman is hope, Wonder Woman is compassion and love, and Batman is Batman. I mean, let's face it. But we all in fear, really fear, and so this is where it's like, yo, let's take all of this stuff out, and this is what you could possibly have if humanity doesn't come together, if all of this stuff happens. And one of the things I loved about the nightmare sequence, because I wasn't a fan of it in BVS, right? I didn't really get it too much until later on, but then in this one, for some reason, I really got into it, and it's probably because of Jared Leto Joker. He's still not my favorite Joker, but that interaction between him and Batman, I thought was so important because it's like
Yeah.
Batman's basically saying, "I am over my edge now,
Yep.
right? Superman brought me back, but now I don't give two effing shits. I
Mm-hmm.
will kill you, Joker. I don't
Yeah.
care. I don't want to be with you, next to you, or anything like that. But if it comes to it, I will kill you." And I was like, whoa, let's go, Batman, kill him.
I mean, the thing I liked about the nightmare sequence in this was how it showed like a timeline in a way. So you know in
Yeah,
BVS how Batman has the Joker card on his gun. So you're like, okay, so this makes sense. So this is where he got the card from. People are like, okay, so what's going on? Why does he have the Joker card? Why is he wielding a gun and stuff? Where's Cyborg? Where's Flash? So I kind of like picked up and stuff, and I think it was a couple of YouTubers who said back. I think it was K-Wing. Don't quote me on that. But I think he said like in the nightmare sequence with the Flash and BVS were saying that they were trying to build the cosmic treadmill and have that like scene set up and stuff. BVS, you know, Lois is the key, and it kind of felt that way too. And, this is a Batman who's lost everything. He's pushing himself to the brink now. He doesn't care. You know, you see Joker over there, and, Jared Leto, his dialogue was better. The laugh is still a little weird. But I also kind of feel like my friend made a good point, and she's a biology major. She said, if you lose all your teeth like that and you only have a grill, like because all his teeth are implants, you're kind of going to sound like that, especially if someone grabs you by the throat a lot.
Mm.
Because I remember hearing in the true version of Suicide Squad is that David Ayer wanted to do it where Wayne Manor's burning to the ground, and Batman literally pounds all his teeth out. And that's the reason he puts his hand up and smiles, is because Batman broke his mouth.
Hashtag Ayer cut. I'll just say that right now. Keep going.
Release the Ayer cut, guys. Release the Ayer cut. Like, that's the next thing we're working on. Like, people don't realize is that if this movement can happen, excuse me, anything can happen. And that's like I told people and stuff too, is that like critics are like, oh, this is the same movie. You know, good for you, but decide for yourself. Like, I get critics get paid to review the movies, but you also have to remember, critics didn't raise $500,000 for
Mm.
suicide prevention. Critics, WB did not market this film at all. Critics did not market this film. This film was not on TV for TV spots. It was like one or two. There was no marketing behind this. Every single day when I logged into Twitter, I saw fans marketing this. I saw fans tweeting about this. Ray
And
Fisher,
Spider, like just a bunch of other people.
Ray Fisher would tweet about this nonstop. So again, this was for the films. Yeah, I mean, my God, I'm so
For the
sorry.
fans.
This was for the fans. Okay, this is a
Yeah.
movie that the fans wanted. This is a movie that the fans made happen. And this can prove to the landscape in Hollywood is that you think you can do this, that the bigwigs control the money, the fans control what the fans want to see for movies.
Exactly. Like you want our money in the first place, so that's what supports you. And I did want to touch upon another thing, like with all of this. Obviously, I think overall, like, what are your overall ending thoughts on this?
I thought it was great. I mean, I saw that Gail Simone, who's an amazing DC writer, gave it her seal of approval. I saw Rob Liefeld give it his seal of approval, creator of Deadpool. And, as somebody who's just an aspiring journalist right now, just a kid in college, the things and the people I talk to, I thought it was an amazing film. Now, it's not like The Dark Knight, don't get me wrong, but it's up there in my top 5. And to have
Yeah,
WB destroy this and show you the trash that you saw, again, in that alternate parallel dimension that I don't even know, that film doesn't exist, I'm sorry. But you see that, and you see how the actors looked. Ben Affleck, I remember I did a piece about it.
all the
Um,
actors were depressed. They were upset.
exactly. Ben Affleck was drinking a pint of liquor a day. He said that the only reason he did the bat suit again was for his son. Gal Gadot was being misogynized and sexually assaulted every single step she had on set. Ezra Miller was mortified out of his mind. He didn't like being there. And everything that happened with Ray Fisher, I'm sorry, accountability over entertainment. Now, I know they're
Yeah,
all allegations, but again, some of the things I've been seeing and some of the sources I've read, something's going to happen. They need a shakeup at WB. And it's kind of sad and pathetic when you look at a studio like Marvel Studios that prides itself on diversity, tradition, and just accolation of storytelling. It's like night and day. It's like
yeah,
what WB is supposed to be this prominent studio and stuff and carry all these movies and have everything. And it's like you're living in the Twilight Zone. Everybody's still living in a different decade. Marvel is just like, oh, okay, you want to make this film? Well, let's make the film. How do you think the fans are going to react? Oh, well, we'll just cast this person. Perfect casting. Storytelling's great. And Kevin Feige knows what he's doing. The DCEU needs a Kevin Feige. And you know what? Maybe it's Zack Snyder.
yeah. I mean, you have a lot of great points yet again. Like, it's great to have you on, man. Like, it is. Like, you just chef's kiss, man. Oh man.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. I'm thinking about starting my own, actually. I've just been so busy, man. I've just been so busy.
Hey, it's understandable, man. I've been busy too, but yeah, like overall for me, I absolutely love this movie. My dad, as well, we were watching it together. He didn't like the first one, but he loved this one. I even have family members who are casual moviegoers and casual comic book people that know their stuff, but not not like us, and they enjoy the movie. And I'm like, wow, 4 hour movie, you guys are enjoying it. Seems like people are saying the opposite thing. Hmm. But yeah, like for me, I absolutely really enjoy this. I would love to see this on Blu-ray, 4K, anything like that. That would be amazing. I would definitely go out and grab this. But yeah, overall, this was just I thought it was a solid movie. I thought it was really good. I do have some gripes with it, but overall, and I appreciate Snyder for doing his vision. And I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh, Snyder could have picked this and this from Whedon's version." It's like that's not the point. It's not the point. This is his version, whether
Yeah.
you like it or not.
Yeah.
It's his version. But he could have pulled this. That's not the point. The movie was already done. He's just finessing everything. He's editing, coloring, VFX, everything like that. It all needs money. So the fact that you're trying to actually tell me that, oh, they could have cherry picked certain things. No, he couldn't. He can't. Plus, if he did, it's not his version.
Yeah.
Is like, what are you talking about? But I digress. Anyway, like I said, we both obviously we really enjoyed it. Brendan, again, it was great to have you on for this episode. This was absolutely great. This is about to be a 45 minute review where we talk about
I'm
almost
okay, dude.
everything.
I'm okay with that. Look, send
I'm
me some.
okay with that too. I like to go in detail when I discuss this stuff. I will say one thing though. Ryan Troy Adam, we need.
Yeah, that's
Holy
the
cow.
thing I love about Snyder is that he lets the actors talk in their natural dialect. He doesn't force them to constrict, and he doesn't whitewash them. Gal Gadot speaks in her perfect dialect, you know what it is in soft little broken English, because that's who she is. She's an Israeli actress, you know what I mean?
And
And
it
then
makes sense for Wonder Woman since she's on her
exactly.
own thing. So I'm like, I'm down with that.
But this Ryan Choi though, my God, why did you cut that? His interactions was great. Uh, you know, just to see diversity as a whole is
Yeah.
fantastic. And again, just why did you cut that?
Yeah,
Just
exactly. I mean, like, and not only that, an Asian actor would join the Justice League.
yep,
Oh, and the fact that Snyder compromised on Martian Manhunter, I was
yep.
like, wait, then who's the other character? John Stewart, Green Lantern. I'm like,
Don't
oh
even.
my
Here
god,
we
what are you doing,
here we go.
WB?
Here we go. I was
But
waiting for
here's the
this.
thing: it would have been great for me, as much as I love Martian Manhunter in this. I would have loved to see him in the first, where he was interacting with Lois, understood that they have a connection too. But
Yeah.
at the end, I mean, tell me, how would you feel if John Stewart Green Lantern came to Batman?
Again, my 8-year-old self would have probably sat there being like,
He said the
"This."
same dialogue, but it's just him.
I would have been like, "This is my cartoons brought to life." This is my because when I watch the Avengers films and I watch the MCU, I'm like, these are my cartoons brought to life. These are my comic books brought to life, but mixed with human emotions now. Like when I watched WandaVision and I loved it, it was a 9 episode character study of Wanda Maximoff and how the Avengers were really pieces of crap. Like after the events of Endgame, you would think somebody would walk up to her and be like, "Hey, are you okay?"
You good?
Nobody talked to her. You got to remember her getting snapped, her seeing Vision die by her own hand, her seeing Vision die by Thanos' hand, getting snapped, seeing Thanos again saying, "You took everything away from me. I don't even know who you are." Then finding Vision at the sword base saying, "I can no longer feel you." Then going to Westview. All took place in the same span of 3 weeks. And nobody said to her, "Are you okay?" Which is something I touch
Yeah,
upon in my magazine spread for Daily Planet, which is people are like, "Oh, well, the Avengers are great and stuff." Falcon and Winter Soldier shows you that the Avengers are not as clean as everybody thought.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. But holy man, hour long, we discussed a lot about Justice League. It was great. It was in depth. We talked about symbolism, metaphors, everything like that. Why we love this movie, our problems with it. So, I mean, again, Brendan, great to have you on, as
Thank you.
always.
Thank you.
And I
Thank
am
you.
excited for everyone to really watch this video, listen to our thoughts, listen to our perspective. Because again, at the end of the day, I want to end with my lasting thoughts that, like, how I see it is that this is Snyder's vision. This is
Hmm.
what he wanted. We have all Justice League has been tainted in this umbrella of horribleness by the 2017 version that everyone is still associating that movie still with Snyder, unfortunately. That's really unfortunate. So I'm happy that Snyder got his chance to show his version, right? Love it, don't love it, whatever it may be, it's his version, and you can tell us what you think about it off of his version. And again, if you guys loved it, let us know why in the comments down below. If you hated it, let us know why in the comments down below. I am down to hear everyone's thoughts because at the end of the day, it's all opinions. You know, film art is all about the emotional gravity.
You
You
got
know
you.
what I'm talking about, guys. Anyway,
Gravitation. Yeah, gravitation and passion. I got you.
so it's like, love it, hate it, whatever it may be. I'm happy you guys saw his vision, and that's what I think is important. And Andy Signore, you say, is it worth it? Yes, it is, because it's his vision, it's his version. Despite you love it, hate it, whatever it is, at least is Snyder's vision and Snyder's version.
Yep.
And right now, it is sitting at a 96% on audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, so it looks like it's worth it.
Take notes, WB. Hashtag restore the Snyderverse. Hashtag release the Ayer cut.
Yep, let's go on with the air cut. So anyway, thank you all again for watching this video. I had a blast. Brendan, I hope you had a blast discussing this with me because I knew for sure that when this movie came out, I'm reviewing it for my channel. And I couldn't have thought of a better person than you, of course, because it's like it fits, it works. And so again, if you guys like this, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button to get more reviews because I will be doing a Mortal Kombat review because I'm a Mortal Kombat fan. So stay tuned to that. It releases on my birthday, so I'm definitely gonna fucking review it both on this channel and my Cinema Unchained podcast that you can find on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all Google Podcasts, all the things. That's Cinema Unchained. But Next Gen Geek is all about the next gen geek culture, the next generation of what symbolism and comic book means and how that's important. That's always been that way. And I think this review encapsulated what this channel is gonna be about. So again, hit that like, subscribe, hit that notification bell to stay tuned, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
See you guys.